Salutations, mini mathematicians. Woo! Okay, that was fun. Thanks for joining me. We're going to be going over 6.1b resource page. So this was slide 30 in your Desmos. So it says carefully duplicate. So you probably want to use a pencil. Triangle below using a ruler and protractor. Label the side lengths rounding to nearest tenth of a centimeter and angle measures rounding to nearest whole number of degree for your new triangle. So when we're doing this, remember to, on your protractor, we have centimeters and we have inches. So I'm going to use the centimeters. I'm going to first measure BC. It looks to be about 4. Maybe it goes a little bit farther. Going to nearest tenth, it looks like if we measured from like the end of the point to the end of this point, a little more than 4. But if we measure right in between, I'm just going to call this 4 centimeters. And I'll measure AC, looks to be also 4 centimeters. And AB looks to be 7 centimeters. Now we want to measure the angle. So if I measure angle BCA, or the included angle between our congruent angles, I'm going to line up my protractor. It's kind of hard to make sure I'm lining it up perfectly, so I'm just going to extend this side length out so that I can make sure I'm on the 0. And then measuring from BC all the way to CA, I'm using those outside numbers because that's where it starts at 0. And we measure things from 0, not from 180. And measure across. And I can't tell exactly, so I'm going to extend this line out too for Ray CA. Oops. Just so I can get a better measure here. 120 degrees. 120 degrees. And then if I measure BC, it's like 30 degrees. So if we have 120 and 30, I'm expecting this to also be 30 because I have 150 degrees of my 180 degree triangle. So I can measure from CA lining up the 0, or I could measure from AB lining up the 0. Again, you may want to extend the line just so it's as accurate as you can get. So I'm lining up my zeros. I'm measuring AB to AC, and yeah, 30 degrees. Adds it to 180, so we know we did a great job so far. Now, copying and labeling the triangle. To do this, I usually like to draw one line to start with. And then from that one line, measure out where BC should be. So we're going to use our protractor to measure 4 centimeters. So I'm going to make a dot at 0 and a dot at 4. And that's going to be BC. Perfect. From here, I'm going to start with the 120 degrees. And I'm going to take from BC. And one of the other reasons making this nice long line is because I don't have to extend it too much to measure my angles. I'm going to go from 0 all the way to 120. I'm going to make a dot above and below so that I can draw my line. And then after you draw your line, that's when you can measure out your 4 centimeters. So again, 0 to 4. So that's going to be A. And now we can either choose to measure angle CBA or measure angle CAB. If we do it right the first time, the other angle should just be what it is. naturally occurring. So let's taking a look. I'll measure 30 degrees from angle B. So line up my zeros as well as I can, and that's a really important part right here, is to line up your zero. So if your line isn't extended, extend it so you can line it right up on 0. 30 degrees, so 0, 10, 20, 30. Make a dot above and below on that same line, lined up. And then use your protractor to line up on all 3 dots as well as you can. And then you might want to just double check what you drew. Ooh, 30 degrees, look at that. And double check your other angle. Oh, 30 degrees, look at that. If I extended it out, I will extend it out just because I like to double check these things. Line up my vertex on A, line up my 0. Oops, it's not going to work. Line up my vertex on A, line up my 0. Look at that. It's like almost perfectly 30 degrees. Yes. And of course, when we label this, we'll label it with the angles, 30 degrees, 120 degrees, 30 degrees, and we'll label it with the side length, 7 centimeters, 4 centimeters, and 4 centimeters. And that's how you copy a triangle. Do your very best, be nice to everyone, and catch you next time.